want you to already see yourself out of the storm. The clouds will move. It's time for you to smile again. Come on, Sean. I believe the family will get better. I believe God will provide. I believe the promise that He made. Oh, I believe. Oh, it's already done. The blessing is yours. God's already pre-approved you for it. Come on, Zacardi.
All right. Yes, I believe that it's all already done. Yes, He's a healer and it's already done for you. Oh yes, I believe. Okay, I do believe that God is able. He is the one. He is the healer. He is going to make your family better. Yes, He is. I truly believe that song just takes you deep inside your spirit and give you hope and just allow you to praise God. Wow. What a mighty, every time I listen to that song, I get chills in my bones. Anyway, assume the position now. I love me. If you're female, and if you're a male watching me, just say love me. Women with the issue of blood. Remember that woman with the issue of blood? She had to keep pressing to get to just touch the hem of His garment. How powerful is that? Just touching the hem. She had to fight her way through. She didn't get to touch His body, get her hands touched by Him, shake His hand, get a kiss, nothing. Just the hem. And He then told her, your faith has made you whole. What are you faithful for today? What are you hoping for God to give to you today? I just want to say welcome to each and every one of you from around the world and in the United States. This is the Diana Wright Show live online, and I believe truly that your storm is over. I believe that God is your healer and He will heal you of anything that ails you today. And if you're in an abusive relationship, as you saw in that video, the time will come when you will get the courage and the spirit and the move of God to leave and take care of yourself and begin to love yourself again. So let us believe that the family will be taken care of and all the blessings that He promised will come to you today. But you need to have faith. You need to believe. You need to trust God that that will happen to you. So I start the program off this morning talking about relationships and wondering if there's anyone out there in internet land, in the land of international, the world, the U.S., watching the Diana Wright Show live online today. What do you need to pick you up out of that very blue scene that you're in and bring you into the green? You notice I'm wearing green for you today because I truly believe that you can be taken out of your tragedy, your devastation, your depression, wherever you are this morning. I know that God will indeed deliver you from that which pains you. And it brings me to relationships. Have you thought about something you've done in a relationship that hurts the other person to the core, but you truly love that person and did not really mean to hurt them, but you are satisfying some need of sexual proportions if you're a man and a woman, or if it's a friend, you're looking for that accolade that you never got, or you're just displeased about some small thing that we are advised not to sweat the small stuff. So, I'd like to talk to you today about that, about relationships, and how you can go about trying to heal them. Because you see, we need to forgive our loved ones. And who are some of the people that might just hurt you in a way that seems unforgivable at the moment? Infidelity comes to mind of your spouse. Yeah. When your husband or your wife cheats on you, it seems unforgivable. And believe me, it is true. It seems unforgivable. But can you forgive that person? Well, you should, and you will, and you must. Because if you don't forgive that person, you cannot indeed free yourself from that hurt and that pain. And it begins with forgiving that person that has hurt you so badly. And then there are friends that hurt you equally. Because your friends sometimes become your family. Your friends become the people that you share your secrets with, even though you should not sometimes. Because your words can come back to haunt you. Like I've told you before, I know of a case where someone was opening up to a friend, and that friend used whatever she said to fight against her and steal her husband too. Or tried to anyway. So, what does the friend that you've lost mean to you? Can you take care of it? Can you admit that you were wrong? Can you go and ask for forgiveness from that friend? And if you are indeed a spouse that did that thing that is so sinful, like infidelity, are you big enough to ask for forgiveness? And then you have your children who sometimes hurt you to the core, and you wonder, what have I done to this kid to deserve this? I've done my best. I've given up this. I've done that. But we must forgive our children. Even if they're out there disappointing us, taking drugs and in prison, we have to find it deep in our soul and in our spirits to forgive them. To give them another chance. Yes. And what about your parents? A lot of us blame our parents for everything that ever happened to us in our lives, whether we are 50 or 20 or 30 or 16. But your parent is not responsible for the rest of your life. There comes a time that you have to take responsibility for your own life, your own success, your own achievements, your own passion, your own needs, your own wants, without blaming your parents. So, relationships are a way of life. It is a part of life. We cannot do without them. And sometimes we can't live with them. So, how difficult is it for you to mend whatever is broken in any relationship in your life? How willing are you to forgive that person that has hurt you at the most delicate stage of your life, at the most needy place of your life? Can you find it within you to forgive them? When you get to the place of Jacob on Esau, sermon I'm watching on TD Jakes, it brings to mind when someone like Jacob is wicked and does wickedness to Esau. who is on the kinder, gentler side. But then you see Jacob wrestles for 20 years with all that he's done, his wickedness, and God deals with him. But then when he got back with Esau, I guess no one could bring up what he did or what he didn't do. It's only tears that held strong and healed the situation. Yeah. Just tears. As I always say, sometimes you only need a hug to hug it out. You only need someone to say, I love you, I'm sorry, I hurt you. I was wrong to do what I did. Whether it's your husband, your friend, your parent, your child, those words are crucial to forgiveness and crucial to mending a relationship. Because though it seems impossible sometimes to heal that wound that you know you inflicted on someone else, you brought them to tears. You brought them down into depression. You brought them pain and anguish and made them feel that life doesn't really matter that much anymore. But you can begin today by mending that relationship. So who are you hurting today? Who is hurting you today? Who do you need to forgive? Who do you need to mend with? Whomever it is, especially if it's a parent, please go out and mend it. And when it comes to your parents, you cannot be too big to make the first move. With your friends, sometimes you really want the friend to make the first move because you know that they were wrong and they did you wrong. And with your spouse, you're expecting them to fix it first. And your children, you expect them to come and apologize. But when it comes to your parents, my advice to you is make that first move. Mend your parents, the relationship with your parents. It's important. Yes, you might say your mother didn't really love you. She didn't show you no love. She didn't hug you, squeeze you, and make you feel love. Make that be water under the bridge today. Because when you reach out to your parent, and if that parent doesn't want to reach out back to you, so give you reciprocity, then you know your conscience is clear and you can move on because you made the effort to move that needle that needed to be moved. And if that's a friend, depending on what the friend did to you, depending on who the friend is in your life, you try to mend the relationship with that friend, even if you have to swallow your spit and your pride. Because sometimes, pride will make us just not want to do things even though we know that we did wrong to the person. So I'm encouraging you this day on the Diana Wright Show live online to make amends, forgive, and second chances can be better than first chance. Because when the person is out there in the wilderness, whether it's your husband, your friend, your parent, your child, and they realize that they have hurt you so badly, then when you give them a second chance, most of the times, I'm not willing to say all the time, because people mess up and then they mess up and they do the same thing all over again. But if you give a second chance, sometimes that person becomes a better person that you wish to love, you wish to be with, you wish to cherish as you should cherish your parents, because they brought you here. Without them, you would not be here. So, let's try to make amends today. Let's try to repair friendships. Let's try to mend our families. Physical abuse, as it shows in that video, I think is unforgivable. But the Bible says that if God is willing to forgive you for any sin, Who are you to not forgive? And when you're praying and asking God to do things for you and remove your mountains, if you're not willing to forgive, your mountains will not be removed. So forgiveness is crucial. Second chances are crucial. Some of us are so mad with some people, we just don't want to be bothered anymore. That's it. Done. But I plead today, make it this day that you do that. Or even consider it. Think about it. Mull it over in your thoughts and in your mind. As I ask you to remember the date of the National I Love Me Day, declared by the Diana Wright Show live online, April 30th is that day. And on that day, I truly want you to love yourself and do something special just for you. And as you go through the journey of loving yourself and loving your children and teaching them to love themselves and loving your spouse too. Because a lot of us are in some loveless relationships. And there's no love there. You're just kind of going through the motions. And going through the motions because, as I said, some women will tell me, I can't leave Diana, even though he's whooping my butt, because I won't have the Mercedes to drive. I won't live in Cherry Gardens. I won't live in the Heights. My children will no longer go to private school. But what would you do to save your own life? And what would you do to give yourself the opportunity to love yourself again? And give yourself back your self-esteem and your self-confidence? So if you're in an abusive relationship, physical abuse, because physical abuse, yeah, it's evil, but mental abuse and verbal abuse ranks right up there in the threes. So as you move about your day to day, be honest with yourself. Look into your heart and engage your brain and ask it, who do I need to mend with today? And do what you need to do. Take action and mend it. It's not worth being mad at people. And yes, some people deserve for you to be mad at them. But you need to find that place. You need to find that groove, that little spot in your heart that will allow you to mend. I want to give a shout out to my cousin Simone in New York, who broke her tibia bone. We hope you have swift healing and blessings to you and your family, and hope that you will not go to another place so someone can fall down on you and break your tibia bone. Alrighty, so anyway, another question, or my question for this day, which links with relationships. The question to you today: if you are not employed, if you don't have an income, if you have no money, as a man, should you be dating? As a woman, should you be dating if you have no money? Would you like to join the conversation about that? If you have no money, should you be dating anyone? Period. Maybe not. I don't think you should be. Because I think that if one person is going out with an empty pocket and dependent on the other person to pay the bills all the time, that's not so cool. So if you're unemployed and you have no money, focus on getting a job. Focus on pursuing your passion. Focus on starting your career. Focus on yourself. And when you get fixed yourself, and you love yourself, and your self-esteem and your self-confidence is booming again, then, and only then, should you begin to date anyone. And ladies, when the relationship is over, whether it's a significant other or a marriage, please take time to breathe. Don't run back into another relationship instantly. That's one of the points on my 13 points of life. When you're hurt, you need to grieve. Take time to grieve, just like you grieve a death. To a divorce, it starts with a D too. It's death. And it's not just for the female. The men die too, in their hearts and their souls and their spirits, when there is a divorce. So don't think it's just the woman. Don't jump from one to the next without taking a breath. Especially women. And reevaluate, what did I go do wrong in that relationship? Why didn't that relationship work for me? What is it about that person? And then you will begin to see in the forest and find the trees. Because when we are back out of certain things, we can look back and we can say, oh my God, I dated that jerk. I wanted to be with that jerk. Male or female, doesn't really matter. But you get to that place. And that's the reason young people should not be hooking up too tight with anyone in high school or even in college. Just explore the world. You can date without having sex. Nobody has to have sex and kiss while you're dating. You don't have to. You choose to do so. So you can choose not to do so. Until you decide that that person is indeed the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life. And it can work that way. It's not impossible. It's just that the society that we live in has taken us into this state of immorality that sex is involved with everything. Selling soap on TV, toothpaste, whatever it is they're selling, they're sexing it up. Do you need to sex up every item you're selling on television, even a web thing like GoDaddy? Not everything needs to be sexed up. So let's make up our minds and decide that we don't need to always sex it up. We always need to stay prayed up though. Because that's where our answers will come. Prayers with action. Prayers with faith. Because faith without works is dead. And faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And no, I don't have a teleprompter. I'm using my brain and my memory that God gave me. And I thank Him for it every single day as He continues to bless me. Because that's the next thing. We must always remember to say thank you. Not only to God, but for anyone who has affected our lives in any positive way. Thank you. And sometimes we need to thank our enemies too, because we don't feel important until they point out how important we truly are. Yes, our enemies sometimes need to be thanked. And be treated nicely too. Remember the story of Jesus and the disciples? Judas, who he knew had betrayed him. What did he do? He washed his feet. Most of us would not have been doing that. I, for one, would not be washing anybody's feet who I know just kind of crucified me. I would have to really give it some serious thought and some serious prayer and some serious evaluation. So, whose feet are you willing to wash again, despite the fact that they've hurt you so much? And who are you willing to give a second chance? And which relationship needs to be mended in your life? Please, take the time. Love yourself. And if you're broke, don't try to date anyone and pretend as if you're not broke. Put the credit cards away if you can't pay the bills. So, I promise you that those relationships, when they're fixed, becomes better ones. I speak from experience. Becomes better and stronger. You're more tolerant. You're more patient. You're more willing to say, okay, he did that, but not going to take it on. Forgive him and move on. Press on. Or your friend that you love so much. Because I believe that if I have a friend and I'm not feeling the love, I'm gone. I'm seriously gone. When that love is not felt anymore, I am out of there. Because I think the easiest way to kill your self-confidence and your self-esteem and bring you tears is to be in a friend friend relationship, and that friend is really your frenemy. All right, so just keep that in mind and keep giving second chances to people that you know don't deserve it sometimes. But what about when we mess up? Would we like to be given a second chance? I certainly would like a second chance. A second chance at fixing my life. A second chance of going back and receiving all the blessings I thought I should have had? Absolutely. And ignoring all the people that were trying to tear me down? I should have done so. And as my friend Pat used to say to me, that's Pat Wright in Jamaica, if you were not important, they would not be talking about you. So keep that in mind as I remind you about another date that I'd like you to put on your calendar and save that date. It's October 5. And that date is going to be special for you to save a life with the foundation headed by Novelet Gale. The foundation is called Save a Life Jamaica Foundation. It's not just for Jamaica. It's for people around the world who needs help, and she's going to try to help them. So we applaud her for that, and we will assist in whatever way we can. But we're asking you to make your contribution. It will be $20 for the function, and it will promise to be a nice, exclusive, classy, beautiful affair. So make plans to be there. October 5, it's a long way away, and it sounds like, oh God, Diana, you're telling me something about October already? Yes, I am. October 5, mark your calendar, circle that date, and save that date. Okay, we're going to kind of move over now to a little politicking here, because I see that Mr. Jeb Bush, remember Jeb Bush, former governor of Florida, the FCAT governor? Yes, he is that FCAT governor, the brother of George W. and son of George H.W. Bush. He's thinking about 2016. So he has his book right now that's out about immigration. Immigration War, I think, is the title of the book. And I'm just kind of wondering, do you have the fortitude and the stomach for another Bush in the White House come 2016? He's floating the idea, and he's actually criticizing Mitt Romney for the way he talked about people and treated people. So, I don't know, shouldn't he have stood up a little firmer during the election to support or ask Romney to shut up some of the times, the things he was saying, like the 47%? Shouldn't he have chided him more? Or maybe, you know, in all this politicking thing, I want him to lose so that the possibility of me winning in 2016 is more plausible. I'm not quite sure what to believe about politicians these days, because they seem to hunt one thing, theatrics for another thing. Sequestration was a total theatrical performance by the Republican Party especially. Some are saying the president did perform his theatrics too by going all around the country. And because he has the bully pulpit and the luxury of Air Force One, he can fly from here to there and speak. Yeah. But I'm also thinking again this morning, are we ready to take on the FCAT governor of Florida? Past governor of Florida, Jeb Bush, for 2016? Are we willing to give another Bush another chance, another shot at the White House? Or are we going to go back in our memory bank and think about all that happened with the father and the son of previous years as president? Which moves me into another set of theatrics that's coming up with the Brennan nomination. And of course, who are going to be the stars again? Senator John McCain He wants answers about torture. And his little sidekick, which is what I call him, Senator Lindsey Graham, oh, he is still stuck in the Benghazi era. He wants to know about Benghazi. And I think that Graham is not going to stop until he gets somebody just hit him upside his head and say, shut up. Sit in a corner and do not ask any more questions about Benghazi. People died. Mistakes were made. The Republicans blocked the funding for the security. So blame is going all around, if you will, and you must. But I think they think that there's a deep, dark secret being kept and protected by the president, about the president, that they're trying to unearth. And I don't think there's anything there. Don't you think, Mr. Senator Lindsey Graham, that by now somebody, somewhere, would have leaked some information about this whole Benghazi thing that you are so desperate to find out about? Just get to the meat of the nomination of the potential or the president's choice for CIA director and move on and get to the business of the people. Isn't a president entitled to nominate who he wants to be in his cabinet? Yes, I think that is part of what you do. I'm sure the president is not going to nominate any crazy person with some record that they can't defend or whatever it is. The people that get these nominations are vetted and vetted and vetted. They talk to the person that you knew 100 years ago. They probably interview your dog too. Your maid, everyone. So why is the Senate, the senators, especially Senator John McCain and Senator Lindsey Graham, always, and of course, when it came to Chuck Hagel, there was Ted Cruz, the bulldog who thought he could unearth and destroy the man's character. But hey, Chuck Hagel is now the Secretary of Defense. And my prediction clearly is, despite the Benghazi and the torture thing, Brennan will be the new head of the CIA. Whether Senator McCain or Senator Lindsey like it or not. What is their problem? Wasn't Senator McCain in the government when the torturing was going on during the Republican administration under George W., who it is said that okayed it to be done? Wasn't he part of that administration? So what are your questions, Senator John McCain? Do not come back again this week with your mean spirit. It's absolutely not necessary. We don't need it and we don't want it. And I suggest you get your sidekick Lindsey Graham on board and tell him to dump that Benghazi thing, because you seem to have dumped it. But now you're back to torture. What are you expecting Mr. Brennan to tell you about Benghazi and torture that we don't already know? So many books have been written about the whole torture thing. The guy has been on 60 Minutes. I mean, you know, there's so many things being said about it. And haven't you just like whipped Hillary Clinton about Benghazi? Wow. Republicans, please give it up. You're still bruising and hurt about losing the election. Senator McCain seemed to be still hurt and pained by the fact that the younger guy, the black and white guy, won and whooped him in the election. And Mitt Romney and his wife, Ann Romney, remember when she said, "It is our time"? I think it was on Good Morning America. It's nobody's time to be president of the United States. You go out, you campaign, you win the primary, you become the candidate, and you roll up your sleeve and love everybody. Whether they're white, black, brown, immigrant, Chinese, poor, middle class, 47%. That's what you do to win elections. I've been working in campaigns since I was in college, and that's what you do. You go out and you shake hands of people you don't even want to shake their hands. You lift up them babies and kiss them and love them. And don't tell people about corporation are people too. No, they're not. And talking about 47% of the people are moochers. And then the reason the president won the election is because he gave gifts to students and black people and brown people. Wow. When do we get past the fact that the Republicans lost the election? They're still festering about that. How do we move them from that place that they're at? Can we move them from that place, please? You remember that movie? I am mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm just sick and tired of hearing about this, how they lost, why they didn't lose, why they lost. And no more interviews with Romney either. He lost, let him go home. That's what you do when you lose. Go home and recoup. You want to run again? Run again and shut up. And all those CPAC people who talk about they did not invite Governor Chris Christie because he was cozying up to Obama to get money for his state when Sandy occurred and washed almost all of Jersey away. What are you thinking, guys? And who do you all think you are anyway? The White House does not belong to a white Republican male. It belongs to the person that campaigns the hardest and wins. That's who it belongs to. The person who has an umbrella tent to take in all of we little people. Whether we're black or brown or white or green or immigrant or non-immigrant, poor or rich. That's who wins elections. So whomever is coming to try to pull a wool over our eyes, like Mr. Marco Rubio, the Tea Party candidate, and trying to make us think and believe and forget that he was a Tea Party candidate from Florida. No, we're not. Our memories are intact. And we are blessed. Like I do believe in the supernatural, and I am blessed with the blessing of Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac, and Sarah. As God blesses my internal and external. So, stop talking about 2016 anyway, and let's get down to the business of fixing the American economy and finding jobs for people who are out there on those long lines looking for jobs every single day. Can it be about just jobs for a minute? Before we start thinking about the Republicans trying to close down the government later on this month? Oh my goodness, wow. And I continue in the vein of cheaters. The supermarkets are trying to cheat us too. The scanners are making mistakes. Are you making sure that when they scan that item, it's what it said the price really is? Because the scanners do make mistakes. Yes, it does. And do you know that the savings on the produce is the savings that the produce that are on the outer banks of those little aisles? On the outer banks is where the savings are. Be careful what you pick up. Because sometimes you pick up things and you see one price and then you go to the register and they tell you a whole nother story. So be careful what you're doing. Wow. Anyway, buying in bulk doesn't always mean you're saving money. Who knew? But you should try to calculate. If you're buying toilet paper, paper towels, stuff like that in bulk, I think it works out. Laundry detergent and, fabric softener. But some things does not need to be bought in bulk because you're really not saving, because some of the times you buy those things in bulk and they stay in the refrigerator or the cupboard and they spoil. How about that? So you're wasting your money. So you need to consider that. And things are cheaper on the outer loop, as I just said. So make sure you're thinking about all of that when you're shopping in the supermarket. All right? And when you are in the store and they're trying to, con you into buying those things that they're making you taste, make sure you're going to go home and eat that thing, and it's not going to sit in your refrigerator and get spoiled either. Alrighty. Okay. Listen to this story. Desperation makes people do crazy things, but this one is truly crazy. A boy on a skateboard snatched more than $550 from a Girl Guide cookie counter. Now, I'm told that the girls were packing up their stuff and they saw him glide by and pull and snatch their $550. This happened in San Bernardino County in California. I don't know what's going on in California. Lots of things seem to be bubbling out in California. It's my favorite state because it's beautiful and it's fun, and you can just get about anything you want there. You want snow? You go to Big Bear. You want Europe looking? You go to Santa Monica. You want beach? You go to San Diego. You want beach? You go to Redondo Beach. You want, there's just so much variety and different kind of people and restaurants and stuff in LA. And of course there's Rodeo Drive where the rich shop. But one of the girls decided to run and catch him. But unfortunately, she fell down and bruised herself up a little bit. So the police got involved. And I hope they catch that little bugger and put him in jail for stealing $550. After those poor little girls sit out there to sell those cookies and basically have to beg people to buy it because most people are not eating the cookies. When I bought the Girl Guides cookies, they sit in my closet forever and ever. Amen. But I do it just to support them. And then I just thought to myself, why am I buying these cookies? I'm not eating them anyway. Because some of them are really not that great. But, you do it for contributing to a cause, which is the Girl Guides. So continue to buy the Girl Guides cookies. And even if you have to put them in the closet like me and don't eat them, that's okay too. Alrighty. So that young man, he needs a whooping. I do believe that. He definitely needs a whooping for trying to disrupt the whole agenda of those two young ladies who were trying to sell their Girl Guide cookies, and then in chasing him, she had to fall down and bruise herself up. Wow. Well, we are in California still, but this time we're going to the ritzy neighborhood of Malibu. Malibu is now branding itself and selling their brand. What is a brand, you might ask? Luxury. And they believe that they can sell this branding thing of Malibu, especially internationally. And for people who love Malibu and aspire to live in Malibu and visit Malibu, yeah, they're getting into the clothing line business. Yeah. So t-shirts and mugs and pens and all those goodies and other things, of course, will be coming out of Malibu with their brand. So just in case you didn't go to Malibu before, when you get there this time, you'll be able to buy some souvenirs that say Malibu. Beautiful place. Kind of building your house on the sand, as the Bible advises you not to. And lots of things go on there. People's houses get burnt out and washed away. I think it was Suzanne Summers. Her house got destroyed by fire over there. But it's a beautiful place to live. Who wouldn't want to live close to the ocean? I did. But when I saw Sandy, how it destroyed New Jersey and New York, I am giving the oceanfront thing a little thought. And I'm really getting back into the part of the scripture that says, do not build your house on sand, build it on a rock. Because the waves and the things like Sandy and storms will come and wash it away. So that's my advice to you. If you were like me, the dreamer who dreams to live and be able to see the ocean from my bedroom, I will settle for not being on the ocean. I'll settle for being a little away from the ocean, but I can still see. So when the floods come, I'll still be intact, because Where I am looking over into the ocean is built on the rock and not in the sand. Like I see some of these houses, they're like almost in the ocean. Why do you need to be so close to the ocean? I just need the view. Thank you. I only need the view. So if you're going to Malibu for a vacation, because California is a beautiful place to vacation, you know. Fabulous. Fabulous. I lived there for a little bit and I loved it, loved it, loved it. But it was so far away from my mother, I couldn't stay that far away. Because yes, LA is kind of far from just about everywhere. Except you want to go to Hawaii. And even then it's still a long flight. But LA is indeed a beautiful place for you to vacation. All right. Okay. I'm going to switch now to the Venezuelan president, Hugo Chavez, who is desperately ill and has another serious infection. So we send our prayers out to Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. The government has come out and say how gravely ill he is. So I'm suspecting that he's really, really bad for them to actually come out and say it. Because, you know, they try to keep all these leaders when they're sick, they keep it secret until you find out they're on their last breath. And then they say, wow, he died. So we're sending out prayers for Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. So you see, my friends, with all his muscle and his talk and his big talk, and he chides Barack Obama and he, you know, give away all the things and he won the election. Look at him now. What can he do right now? All he can do is worry and try to fix his health. And I do believe we're going to see a new election to elect someone else in Venezuela pretty soon. Because when you see the state people coming out and saying how gravely ill he is, and when they're showing you a photograph of him and his 2 daughters all the way back when he was in Cuba, you know something is brewing that they're not telling us. But we know because it has to come out anyway. So we give our prayers to the president of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, and hope that he recovers. But if it's his time, then we hope that they will find another way to have another leader. I don't know how their politics work in Venezuela. I think they have to have a new election, because I don't think that the person that lost can then claim victory from the last election. That's already passed and gone. He was sworn in. So let's see how that goes. We'll keep watching. Alrighty, Young Power today. What do I have for you? I have some news for you that I would like for you to think about. If you're going into college, and even if you're in college already, because you can change your major even though it will take you a little longer to graduate, here it is. These are the majors that they're recommending because of the starting salaries. And don't get me wrong now, I don't want you to pursue something unless it's your passion. It should not be money that drives your engine. It should be your passion and your dream that drives your engine. So if one of these match your engine of passion and dream, then you pursue. Okay. All right. And I'm just going to give you the starting salary, not the end salary, because I think I have something else that gives you annual salaries and the best and most, the biggest ones right now. Okay. Computer engineer. The starting salary for that is $70,400. So if you'd like to be a computer engineer, if you're good at computers and you want to pursue that, your starting income will be $70,000. And that doesn't mean that it can't be higher. This is just they're giving you the minimum that you should be getting. All right? Because some of those companies who really want you, if you're very smart in college, and you're going to Harvard or Princeton or Yale or one of those places or Wharton or whatever, and they pursue you, I'm sure it would probably start in the hundreds. So that's just the starting point for a computer engineer. Number 2 is a chemical engineer, and that starts at $66,400. That's a good place to start. Computer science, not computer engineer now, computer science. $64,400. If you're an aerospace, an aeronautical, or an astronautical engineer, you see how many nauticals they have there? $64,000 is where you start. If you want to be a mechanical engineer, then you're going to start at $62,900. Electrical, electronics, and communications engineer, it's $62,300. If you would like to be a civil engineer, I was a little surprised by this one. I thought it would be more. Your starting income will be $57,700. Finance, if you're starting in finance, this was another shocker for me, $57,300. I guess that does not include Wall Street. Construction science and management, you're going to start at $56,600. And if you'd like to become an information science and systems person, your salary would be likely to start at $56,600. Economics and business. Now that one was a little shocking too for me. And that includes economics, business management. $55,800. And if you decide to major in business administration and management, $55,200, which is quite low for the times right now. If you'd like to become an accountant, you can garner a starting salary of $52,900. And if you'd like to be a nurse that everyone is wanting to be these days, whether they're good or they're bad or they don't care about people or they care about people or they're just in it for the money, $52,200 is where you would normally start as a nurse. And if you'd like to be a marketing management person, including marketing research, then your starting salary would be about $51,000. Okay, and then I'm going to tell you about the best jobs or the best paying jobs right now as you come out of college. Hopefully you have majored in something like this. But if you haven't and you're going into college and you like any of these areas, this is the annual salary. These are the best paying jobs right now. And you have to have a bachelor's degree, obviously. And that means you can become a petroleum engineer. Wow. That begins at $122,242. That is what you'd make annually as a petroleum engineer. As an airline pilot, co-pilot, or flight engineer, $518,000 annually. And if you'd like to become an aerospace engineer, which I talked about before, and I gave you the starting income, now the annual income can be as much as $102,409. If you'd like to become a nuclear engineer, wow, the engineering field is so big and so vast. $99,715, that's your annual that you can expect. If you'd like to be a computer hardware engineer, $98,134 is where you will likely end up annually. And if you'd like to become a software developer, now this one shocked me because I thought this one would be way, way above this. Software developer systems software, $96,034. I thought that would have been way up in the hundreds. A chemical engineer, no doubt, $92,934. That will be your annual. And electronics engineer, $91,478. And if you'd like to become an actuary like myself, Mr. Whitaker in Jamaica, who is one of the few actuaries that are in the Caribbean, $91,062 is your possible salary. And if a lot of you don't know what an actuary is, those are the people who write your insurance policies and that kind of stuff. Okay? All insurance policies normally are written by actuaries, and there are not many of them. And there are very few women in the field. It involves a lot of mathematics. So if you're good at math and you like numbers, you like to play with numbers, being an actuary is a good way to go. You have to take a lot of exams. I do know that, so it's kind of scary. And I think you have to refresh yourself quite often. So if you love math and that is the area that you think, because it's a field that's not crowded, all right? So an actuary is something that you could think about as a person going into college. 91,062, but I caution you, you have to be good at math to become an actuary, simply. Okay, an atmospheric and space scientist, $89,794 will be your likely annual. So that's what I have for the young powers of my show today. And so if you're a parent listening and you jotted those down, and if you didn't, I'm going to try to repeat them in a few other shows, because I think it's important when you're going to college to try to find yourself before you get there, trying to figure out what your passion is. But if you don't, because some people are late bloomers, you know, some people know from their 5, 6 years old what they want to pursue and how they pursue it. I just happen to have been one of those people. Always wanted to be in front of the camera. So even from I was a little tot, my mom tells me, right? So it's time for you to, especially if you're in your high school, don't wait until your senior year, actually. Try to, you know, kind of pursue something, see and research. But I find that young people don't want to research anything. They just want to, they only research when they have a paper to do. You need to research a little more in high school, because when you get to college, you have a whole lot of researching to go do. And it's much easier for you now. You don't have to go to the library. You can do it on the internet, and you can also go to the library for additional information. But you have everything at your fingertips these days, ladies and gentlemen who are so fortunate. So I invite you parents to encourage your children into the engineering block, because it seems like, wow, engineering is coming back to life. Because one time, you know, they were saying, oh, engineers, you know, my husband just happened to be an electrical engineer. And, you know, at one stage you're wondering why they're not paying them what they deserve and what they are supposed to be getting. So now you see they're trying to encourage people to be engineers again. That's what happens when you talk so much. Anyway. We're at the end of the show, and I want to say thank you so much for joining me. Do join me at 8 o'clock this evening, and have a great day. Ciao.